Hello, Commander. We have detected enemy forces residing at the light button. However, they are very sinister. They are hiding within the neighborhood. Just next to it at the dislike button is civilian buildings. So I need you to perform a precision strike on the light button to destroy the enemy forces. The world depends on you, Commander. Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 139 and 140 for 12 and 13 July. So in this summary, there will be no information from the 14th of July. I know it's already nighttime in Ukraine, 9 p.m. in Ukraine. However, this summary was supposed to come out around 5 hours ago or 6 hours ago, but so it's supposed to be recorded after the quick updates that I have posted, the 3 quick updates, but I did not have time because I have to rush for my football session. So yeah, so now it's 2 a.m. in Singapore. So I have to bring this out because there is a lot I want to talk about, and I'm actually really tired, but I cannot leave this undone because I worry that there might be a lot of things happening because the operational pause have stopped over the past 2 days, or actually 3 days. The Russian forces have started their offensive, so over at the eastern side, where after they so-called conquered the entire of Luhansk Oblast, they kind of have some sort of an operational pause. Only the air force and the artillery forces are actually working really hard, and some troops over at the riverside. So, and now it seems like they are now launching the major offensive, which is why I cannot let this summary to drag on into a 3-day summary, or I will get really confused. So anyway, let's start. So start off with cross-border shelling. So at the cross-border shelling, the Shaolin temples or Shaolin monks, the Ukrainian Shaolin monks attack the Belaya Berozka. So in Bryansk, this some bombardment, not sure what they use, probably mortar, and there's no casualties. And also shelling is reported at Tekhino. Tekhino has been attacked by the Ukrainians for quite some bit, and is quite a recurring location that is reported to be attacked by the Ukrainian forces. However, most of the bombardment still comes from the Russian side, where the Russian forces have attacked Vokivka, which is probably pretty heavily entrenched, because Vokivka have been attacked really many times. And there's a new place, Doroshivka. This Doroshivka has never been attacked before, so this is the first time I have saw this name. Mortar and multiple launch rocket system, so must be something must be there for them to launch such a heavy attack. But the attack seems to be mutual. They are just 4 kilometers apart, so so that might be some kind of a battle, or standoff battle between the two sides over there. And we also have a report of shelling at Hrabovsky, or actually Grabovsky. Yeah, so not sure why they like to convert all the G to H, making things very hard to pronounce. So similar, this is the similar report. So perhaps this side is mortar, this side is multiple launch rocket system. So not sure how is this. This is actually reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. So just want to highlight, I have been having too much fun on Twitter the past few days. I have been trolling too hard, and I got a lot of people pissed off, including my source. So I just want to say, I am rather neutral, to be honest. So half of my report tends to be actually from the Ukraine Defense Ministry. So if you think that I'm very pro-Russian, too bad, because I think you are you are too much into the fandom of Ukraine. I don't really give a damn who wins in the end. I just want people not to die unnecessarily. So so it's just like watching Liverpool versus a team like from the 4th division. You know who's gonna win. So you can make a prediction. Oh, Liverpool is gonna win 7-0. That doesn't mean that you're pro Liverpool. You're just recognizing the reality of the situation on the ground. One team is actually much stronger than the other team, and the result is pretty much obvious. Especially, we are now at halftime and Liverpool is already winning 4-0. So you predict that at full time you'll probably win 8-0. So what's so pro Liverpool about it? So I just want to highlight, it's not me being pro Russian. I just recognizing the fact that Russia is winning. So if you think that Ukraine is winning, then Ukraine is winning for you. It doesn't matter to me. Just don't get too much emotional damage trying to make sense of that. So coming to Odessa Front, after this rant, the most hated bridge in the world at Zatoka is repaired. This is reported by Ryba, the pro-Russian source, and he said that according to local residents, so probably he have sources over there, the bridge at Zatoka has been repaired and trains are already running on it. So so is this bridge here? So it had been struck by the Russians. I actually lost count, maybe 4 or 5 times. So so the world's most hated bridge will be struck again, I guess. And another news, also rather civilianish, foreign ships are already arriving at Ukrainian ports on the Danube. So Danube is actually, I checked, it's actually along this river delta, and this river is actually the Danube, and the ships actually go through this river delta into this river, and probably port at this town or city here at Clear. So they say that accordingly there is already 8 ships that has passed the Danube streets of Bistroy and are loaded with Ukrainian grain. So these ships are here for Ukrainian grain. However, Ryba, this pro-Russian source, actually mentioned that it is not very profitable for the ships to come here without bringing imports. So because if they are coming in empty and just to bring Ukrainian grains out, it's not very profitable. So, and then they also complaining that allowing ships to come in would also means that it is possible that these ships are carrying weapons, ammunition, and all sort of war materials, and he isn't really happy about it. But it's really obvious that this is going to be happening, and which is why there was originally some kind of naval blockade at the first place. So anyway, the Ukrainians are pretty prudent as well. They are not using the ports around Odessa. They are using the ports all the way in the most southern end of the country. Then they will use the train to transport up into the rest of Ukraine. So brace yourself. I think the bridge at Zatoka might be hit again. So moving on to the southern front area, and let's start off with Mykolaiv. Let's start off with the entire southern front first. I want to show you, you can see that I have added all these explosion, all this bombardment by the Russian forces over the past 2 days, and this is a continuation of the cleaning up of the intel across the entire tracking, because I have enough of the misinformation, and in the previous summary you probably already saw me indicating on these bombardments that helps to indicate where is the possible front line, and this is a continuation to clean up the data, and as you can see, all these explosions icons, you can see it's in a line, and you can see that this actually goes very in line with the current front line that I have drawn. This most of it is actually based on Ryba's map. So Ryba's mapping seems to be really accurate, with the exception of I think, with the exception of Lyubomirivka, I think So basically we have these explosions, and for every shelling reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry, I have more or less indicated that it's under Ukrainian control, and all this shelling is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. So for those that say I do not report on Ukraine Defense Ministry, I only report from pro-Russian Telegram, I'll say F you, man. So anyway, that's not very professional. So kids, do not learn from me. And so we can see the explosion, the bombardments, especially closer to Mykolaiv city, is extremely heavy, and you can see that basically entire 2 lines of towns are all bombarded, all the way from the most southern end, which is the Lubarevi. Then you can see that Nova Zoria is hit, Pribuzhsky is hit, Stepova, Dolina, Posaporovsky, and then the town behind it, Shevchenkovich, Ukrainka, Kotiliavreve, Zoria, Novo, Hryhorivka, Lyubomirivka. Basically, the whole chain of settlements are all hit, which might also mean that the Ukrainians actually have very thick defenses. They basically did a defense in depth around this entire region south of Mykolaiv and southeast of Mykolaiv city, and this trend continues further north, nearer to the Hryhorivka area, where we can see Kyselivka, Pervomaisky, Partizansky, and Blahodany is all hit. And there is a correction in terms of this. So Kyselivka, we previously have seen information that about Kyselivka, where the War Monitor 3, a very pro-Ukrainian Twitter account, mentioned that Ukrainian forces liberated this Kyselivka, and he said that this is actually the Kherson one. But I think that this is not accurate information. I think it's actually still reports coming from Kyselivka from my Mykolaiv region, and not this Kherson one. And he actually he actually doubled down on it, and he said that the Ukrainian forces are actually advancing south of it. But as you can see, the bombardment, it is not possible that the Ukrainian forces is going to be here. Even if report of the shelling at Blahodany is not this Blahodany, I believe this is actually this Blahodany, which actually makes more sense. So so you're gonna see some kind of discrepancy between the DPA's map versus some pro-Ukrainian maps, where they probably will indicate Ukrainian front line reaching all the way to Kyselivka here between Posokhorovsky and Kherson city. And also that this also kind of invalidated the entire nonsense about Oleksandrivka, Stanislav, and Sharoka Balka. Some segment of the pro-Ukrainian peeps, these OSIN guys or analysts or sources, continues to insist that there is fighting around this region, and they are targeting Tomina Balka. It's basically like a alternate universe kind of thing. So it's like the American comics where they always have multiple versions of Spider-Man or Batman. Yeah, that's kind of that kind of thing. And there is Ukrainian map showing Oleksandrivka is under Ukrainian control. I do not think that is the case, because if that is the case, we're going to see bombardment on Oleksandrivka, because there's no reason for the Russians to not hit Oleksandrivka, because despite you might see there's some town here, this location is pretty much all flattened because of the heavy fighting. This is not really a livable town, for as far as I understand, based on some information from other people. So I do not think that is the truth. That's why I'm doing this cleaning of the data, because there is too much this parallel universe going around, and I kind of sick of it, because it's making everyone confused. And I have to make a judgment call, and this is my judgment call. Oleksandrivka is under the Russian control, and based on the Ukraine Defense Ministry, and this is not the Russian Defense Ministry but the Ukrainian one, based on the data, the information on the bombardments, this actually corroborates with Rybar's map, as pretty much almost entirely the same as what Rybar have mapped. So I have to put a lot of weight on this, And despite, you know, sometimes I do say that, you know, I don't really trust the Ukrainian Defense Ministry at times. They ultimately are still a government source, so I still continue to put a lot of weight on their information. But it's just that sometimes if there is a conflict, like they do dispute certain captures, I will have to make a judgment call, and I will tell you about it, because there is a momentum of war going on. It's not possible that it goes against the momentum of war, especially if you have multiple accounts telling the same thing, and all of them are trusted, and then very soon you actually will see videos coming out that corroborates with that information, that invalidates all these, you know, reports of shelling in certain areas that has been captured by the Russian forces. So, but otherwise, in the southern front, the bombardment information is actually pretty reliable, and the same goes for here. I have also made a judgment call to decide that, you know, the shelling at Krasnisia is actually not this one, but actually is the one nearer to the Russian forces. And in fact, given this bombardment, I suspect that Krasnisia and Velika Artokove has actually been recaptured by the Ukrainian forces. But there is no information about this recapture. So there is this overlapping border here. So indicates this very unusual situation here. There is not a lot of information coming out from this area, which is why it's very hard to tell. There is bombardments reported at Ternivka, so at least we do know that at least this side is Ukrainian control, and it's actually on the other side of the Inolets River. So this is the Inolets River. So that is actually pretty much correct. And there is by Ryba previously mentioned Ukrainian positions at Zeleny High, which was bombarded by Russian artillery. So that corroborates this information. So moving on to the northern side, in terms of the border report, shelling is reported also Hryhorivka, and there's actually shelling reported at Oleksandrivka. So I actually didn't move the border here. I should move this here, and so there is this possibility that Oleksandrivka is actually under Ukrainian control. So let's put this under this overlapping border. You can also call it the gray zone, and let's see how this goes. Otherwise, there is no action over at the Kryvyi Rih side. So moving on to the southern front. So there, other than the bombardments, this entire fighting at Oleksandrivka, information by Clear Blue Sea, basically, no, I didn't see anything from this anymore. So I'm going to delete this and invalidate it. There is no fighting at Oleksandrivka. So I'm just going to tell you this. There is this location called Kulbakyne, which is actually here. This town here is actually Kulbakyne, and you can see that there's Kulbakyne station around here. This place is also got shelled. Mykolaiv is also shelled, but I didn't indicate that because that is already too far away from the front line, and that's not the purpose of the report of the shelling. The report of shelling here is only to verify the front line. Usually I do not report on this because the Russian and the Ukrainians actually shell each other on a daily basis, so it's a waste of my time to actually indicate every single point. I usually just go through and make sure that there is no unusual reports of locations. Like for example, obviously certain locations might be Russian control, and then they say that that location is actually shelled. Then we have to put a disputed icon there, just to highlight that there might be a possibility that that position is actually under Ukrainian control. So those that follow me for some time will probably know that. So I just want to repeat for the newer viewers. Not sure if there's any newer viewers. The YouTube shadow banning unit have been working really hard. I think only 10-20% at max new viewers. So you guys need to do your part to help to promote the channel. If not, you might die a natural death eventually someday through attrition. There is a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Hryhorivka. I want to also highlight about airplanes, Ukrainian airplanes being shot down. Firstly, do not think that it's a lie. This is by the Russian Defense Ministry. Think of it as Ukrainians being really resourceful, and that they are able to actually raise an air force from maybe abandoned parts, or old airframes, old Soviet airframes, and they bring parts, they build it together, and then they have a new airplane. And also getting new planes, or even old airframes from other previous Soviet countries. So which is why they are able to fill so much air force, despite that they shouldn't have any more air force. So that is the reasoning I have why the Ukrainians have so many aircraft. Getting shot down is probably very normal because the Russians do have very strong air defense and superior fighters, more modern, more powerful fighters, which is why it's always going to be an uphill for the Ukrainian Air Force to fight in. But the occurrence of the shooting down of the Ukrainian Air Force also indicates that the Ukrainians are trying really hard to help out with their forces on the ground to prevent Russian offensive, or actually to help out in the Ukrainian offensive. And so do not see this as a negative. I actually see this as Ukrainians actually doing something. Just that unfortunately we haven't seen any Russian planes getting shot down for actually 2-3 weeks, so, or even longer than that. That is just a testament of the technological gap between the two. There's also a Mykolaiv, just called MiG-29 shot down over Beshtenka. So this shooting down is almost a daily occurrence. I'm not sure how Ukraine is going to get so many replacement pilots. So if the pilots are less well trained, this might actually contribute to the shooting down as well. There is no other actions around here other than the bombardments. There's no ground action also as well over here at the Kryvyi Rih Front. So let's move on to the Zaporizhzhia Line. At the Zaporizhzhia Line, there is captures. I forgot to report this. I should actually do this report. And the Ukrainian forces have captured below here, Malatoshmashka, as well as Novodanilivka. The reason is because there is actually, I saw this information that the Ukrainian forces captured these two towns, these two towns, but I did not indicate it because I was doing this this dieting, intel dieting, so I didn't indicate this. However, then we see Ukraine Defense Ministry reported below here, Malatoshmashka as well as Novodanilivka getting bombarded by the Russian forces. This actually corroborates with that information. Thus, I give these three locations as under Ukrainian control. So there is this expanding of the defense line at Kharkiv by the Ukrainian forces. Good job. Maybe this is the new happy front. Who knows? So moving on over to the far right. I don't think this dispute is anymore. I think that's deleted. There is fighting reported at Hryhorivka. So Hryhorivka is this town here between Poltavka and the area of Velika Novoselka. This town have not really appeared in my report before, and it's reported by the pro-Russian sources saying that there is this attack by the Ukrainian forces from this location, and however they did not succeed in their attack. And apparently by another source, the source say that this is actually only reconnaissance, not really not the same thing as this unsuccessful attack. Because if you talk about an offensive, it should be something more serious, but if it's just reconnaissance, then it's just a squad or two. So not sure exactly what's the situation. Two different pro-Russian sources reporting the same thing in a different way. So but what we can confirm is there is fighting around in the area of Hryhorivka. So moving out of the Zaporizhzhia Line, we are now into the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, I have invalidated myself. I have assessed that Preshestivka should be under Russian control. And however, Ryber actually indicate Preshestivka as Ukrainian control. And now we have the Ukrainian Defense Ministry reported this location being shelled by the Russian forces. So my own assessment cannot beat one pro-Russian and one Ukraine official source. So I have invalidated myself, and I have actually clear up the border here. So Preshchivka is under Ukrainian control. So the situation here is Shevchenko is under Russian control. Novomyolsk is under Ukrainian control. Tentatively, this is what we have, and there is fighting reported at Pavlivka. So skirmishes continue in the area of Pavlovka. So these just skirmishes, is not really heavy fighting. So it's just people shooting at each other, and otherwise there is a Sukhoi 25 shot down over Novo-Ukrainka. So which also means that the Ukrainian Air Force is actually trying to support the defenses around here. I don't think there is any major ground offensive on both sides, so maybe they are just here to soften the Russian defenses or forces. Unfortunately, got accidentally shot down by the Russian Air Force that is actually conducting air superiority mission around this region. Otherwise, we definitely have invalidated all this nonsensical intelligence from some very salty guy, and so this front line is definitely as such, I don't think it's disputed anymore. Moving on to Hryhorivka. So there is this information that Ukrainian might be holding Optine. So there's a gray zone here, and there's fighting reported at Kyselivka. And the latest rumors I saw on the Twitter comments is that Kyselivka has been captured by the Russian forces, but because this is the summary for the day of 12 and 13, 139 and 140, I'm not indicating that. I will update when I check the sources myself, and I'll update in the next summary for the day of 14th of July. So there is fighters planes getting shot down over Troitsky. A MiG-29 was shot down as well. This is by Russian Air Force, and there is another also shot down by Russian Air Force, Sukhoi 25, which means that there is some very heavy operation happening around this region that actually have two different Ukrainian aircraft getting shot down. A MiG-29 is air-to-air fighter, so probably the MiG-29 is covering covering this region against the Russian Air Force. However, it got shot down by probably superior Russian fighters, which most likely is the Sukhoi 35, because usually it's the Sukhoi 35 that are shooting down all these Ukrainian aircraft, and the Sukhoi 25 is actually a ground support aircraft. So pretty sad for these people who got who have to get shoot down, in such great heights. But that's the nature of war, and they are doing their best to support the Ukrainian defenses. Shelling reported at Torres, and there is also shelling reported at Shumi. So as a result, there is this gray zone here, because there might be a possibility that Shumi is actually under Ukrainian control. So which is why there's this overlapping region here, and let's see what's going to be happening next. So let's move this back, this border back, and let's refresh for a while. I just want to make sure that my changes is reflected. So now we are into the Bakhmut front. So this area here is the Bakhmut front, and this is Bakhmut city. Over at the most southern end, there's bombardment at Travneve, Kodema, Vashina, Optine, Vesela Dolena, as well as Bakhmut itself. And this actually helps to corroborate the front line for us. Weirdly, Zaporizhzhia, there is actually no bombardment. There is fighting for Hryhorivka power plant. Believe I also saw bombardments of the power plant area, but there's another information which I just didn't add in. The Russians did not try to attack Novoluhansk anymore for now. there is fighting reported at Dolomite. So this was reported in the previous summary. I haven't seen any continuation of this information of the fighting at the power plant or at Dolomite anymore. Tentatively, I did not see anything. I'll leave the icon here for now, and if we still do not see anything, then I will just delete it. So moving further north, so the Russian forces, after capturing Klyinove, and the dispute by the Ukraine Defense Ministry is probably invalidated, perhaps. Let's wait. If the Russians do capture Vashina or Vesela Dolena, then probably we can officially just delete away the dispute. Tentatively, we just leave it there, and the offensive is going towards these two towns. So let's see what's going to happen next. And moving up north, the Russians are still trying to attack Perovsky. The last report, so I delete this. This is outdated information, which never happened. They are still fighting at Perovsky, but there is still no results at Perovsky. Moving further up north, there is this very curious situation where for unknown reasons, the Russian side, some pro-Russian sources, including Ryba, is celebrating the capture of Hryhorivka and Novokayamska. However, these two towns we have already reported as captured for a very, very long time, and so long that we actually even have reports of Russian forces entrenching themselves 2 kilometers north of Soledar. Somehow, for some reason, I think the Ukrainian forces have recaptured it without any fanfare. And then we have the latest information is that the Ukrainian forces in these two positions have retreated when the Russian forces from Trypillia actually advanced towards Soledar. So there is still fighting reported at Hryhorivka. Not sure who is fighting there. However, generally most of the pro-Russian sources is actually now saying that the Ukrainian forces is retreating. Accordingly, the group that retreat is actually called Tactical Group Charlie. So whatever that's supposed to mean. So the latest information is that the Russian forces have entered Soledar, and so I have four different pro-Russian sources saying the exact same thing. Most of them is actually based on information from the Interior Ministry of the Luhansk People's Republic, and from Ryba, finally on earlier today, they actually came out with this information, because I almost wanted to report about how there is this parallel universe between Ryba and the rest of the pro-Russian sources. Anyway, they end up corroborate with this information, and they reported that the Russian forces is actually at the gypsum quarry. So this is the gypsum quarry, the Zaporizhzhia gypsum deposit quarry. So is this area. So the Russian forces is already at this area here, and probably by now they are much deeper into Soledar. And there is rumors of the retreat from Soledar and Siversk. So some rumors, I'm not indicating them, so just let you know. Fighting continue for Yakovlivka and also for Hryhorivka. So the Hryhorivka definitely have not fallen, as the Ukrainian Defense Ministry also reported shelling at Hryhorivka. Fighting also continues for Naherne and Berestove. So the Russians still have not break these defenses here, and for a very, very long time. Not sure when is this information, I forgot about it. So anyway, now on the northern side of the Bakhmut front, the Ukrainian Defense Ministry continued to dispute the capture of Spyane by reporting bombardments by the Russian forces on the location of Spyane. And this is previously mentioned. This is the old one, this is the new one. So continue to report on that. However, most of the Russian forces is now most of the Russian sources have reported that the fighting is now between Spirne and Ivano-Darivka. So there is a possibility that when they mention Spirne, which is also disputed when you translate it, this is actually referring to the location between the two towns. And someone in the comments mentioned that the disputed town is actually also called disputed. So that's very funny. I find it. I didn't realize that. So interesting. Okay, then further up north, there is actually firstly reported fighting at Verkhan-Okamyamsky, and this is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry. And then they also reported airstrike on Verkhan-Okamyamsky. And finally, we actually have information from a pro-Russian source, Zola of Renovation. Forgot the actual name of this. This is just the URL, the handle. The name is some Russian name. Anyway, they reported that the Russian forces have captured Verkhan-Okamyamsky, and now as a result, the fighting is now in Siversk. And this information corroborates with the other information that Russian forces enter Siversk. This is reported by TASS as a Russian government-linked media, a very big one, and they reported that the forces of the Luhansk People's Republic and Russia entered Siversk and reportedly under operational control. So whatever that's supposed to mean. Usually this operational control, you can just take it as they haven't have control yet. This is not a very good statement to to believe in, because Popasna was under operational control and they took more than a month to have actual control. So don't really trust this too much. And so they say they are now sweeps. So let's see what's going to happen, because the rumors are the Ukrainian forces are retreating. So let's see if they're actually able to capture the entire of Siversk within a day or two or three. So, but no, Ukraine Defense Ministry do report that shelling is at Siversk. So that is pretty predictable. So the importance of Siversk is that Siversk actually have a railway line. This is the one, Siversk station, and Siversk station actually goes all the way up and links to Liman, and goes all the way up north to Russia, Belgorod. So should they able to conquer Siversk, then they will actually have a railway line all the way up to the Russian land, and they can actually use the railway to actually reinforce and resupply the area in Siversk. So, but tentatively, around 2-3 months ago or more, or maybe 4 months ago, the Ukrainian forces have blown up the bridge at Dronivka. So not sure if the bridge is actually repaired yet. This is actually a railway bridge. It's only railway, if I'm not wrong. Maybe there's some pathway, but it's not for cars. It's only for railway. So depending on the repairing of the bridge and whether the Russians can capture Dronivka. If they capture Siversk, then Siversk can actually act as a pretty good forward operating base for the Russians. So that's the strategic importance of Siversk. And along the river, the Siversky Donetsk River, the Russian forces has captured Hryhorivka. This information is actually from the 11th of July, which I did not see. So because not really did not see, I see, but I'm not sure if that's even a capture because of the way how they wrote it. They say that they ejected the enemy at Hryhorivka and exploit an offense towards Serebryanka. That is not necessarily means a capture. I did report about this, but because a lot of pro-Russian sources is now saying that Hryhorivka is actually captured, and we can actually do confirm. I'm not sure when this shelling is reported, so there's a dispute there. I think this older one, and there is reported shelling at Serebryanka. So the latest information is that the fighting is now on the eastern side of Serebryanka, and so because given the number of pro-Russian sources reporting that Hryhorivka is actually captured, so I'm gonna just follow with it that to put this in. So hopefully I'm not gonna correct myself again on this, because I believe that I have corrected myself on Hryhorivka quite a number of times, so I don't really like to do that. So we're now in the Izyum Front. So at the Izyum Front, a very interesting thing is happening is that the Russian forces is bombarding the entire, almost every single town along the river. So they start off with Zaporizhzhia, then Kryvyi Rih, Starodubivka. They actually didn't hit Sukunivka here, and they actually hit Hryhorivka, Donetsk, Majaki. So the entire chain of settlements along the entire Siversk Donetsk river is getting shelled. So I'm not, and also of course also Mykolaiv. So not sure what the Russians are planning to do. Are they distracting the Ukrainian forces, or are they actually softening the target to do a crossing? Nobody knows what's happening. Russia do like to bombard the place a lot of time and do nothing about it. So this bombardment, I highlight it purely because it's very interesting that this is actually happening. In terms of aircraft shot down, there is this Sukhoi 24 of the Ukrainian Air Force getting shot down by Russian Air Force over Sloviansk. So so a lot of Ukrainian aircraft. So the last summary I titled it, Ukrainian planes are dropping like flies. A lot of pro-Ukrainian people are very unhappy, and they say they are very not neutral. But you just see the number of aircraft that are getting shot down on a daily basis. So that is just factual. So if you're not happy, blame English, because English just have such a idiom or word for me to use. Why don't they write drop down like elephants? Drop down like dolphins. They say drop down like flies. I know you don't like flies. So there's nothing I can do about it. That's just English. So further up around the Sviatohorsk area, there is this correction in terms of the captures here. Previously I reported Pryshep and Sidorov has been captured by Russian forces. Is now invalidated because Surya Maps actually added have some information they corrected on their own map, and they say that this is actually because the capture was previously done by reconnaissance forces, and the reconnaissance forces are unable to keep control over the towns, and now they are under Ukrainian control. However, fighting is reported by pro-Russian sources, the Zola of renovation, and they reported the fighting at Pryshep and Sidorovo. So you can see that it's actually Prysheba and Sidorovo. So I believe this is actually the correct Pryshep. So because there is another Pryshep further up near Ivanivka, I'm not sure where is it. It's here. So I believe the one that is mentioning is here. I will check with him, double check with him. I actually tweeted to him asking him that did I actually map it correctly. So let's wait for his reply. But most likely I think it's correct, and so the Ukrainian forces actually captured this area. There's no clarity regarding Bohoro Dashine, and fighting is reported at Dolena, Krasnopilia, and at Mazanivka and Kuruka. Interesting thing about Mazanivka is that the Ukrainian forces reported shelling at Mazanivka, and it really put into question whether the Russians actually did capture the town, or is this bombardment just talking about the entire forested area here? So nobody knows what the hell is happening, and there is really no real progress around this area. And there is also reported shelling at Dovhetke. So here you see. So not sure if this is correct. So yeah, just gonna put a question mark there. This is reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry, by the way. So there is a Sukhoi 24 shot down over Babinkove. So this is similar as Sloviansk one. Both is Sukhoi 24. So And then bombardment is reported at Ivanivka as well as Zaliman. Then these two bombardment reported by the Ukraine Defense Ministry actually make me doubt that these locations is actually under Russian control. But however, I cannot verify it, so I put this overlapping border here, so to indicate that this Zaliman and Ivanivka around here in the northwest of Izyum city might actually be Ukrainian control. So let's wait and see if we can have eventually some kind of corroboration to help to clear up this situation here. Then I added a fortified position at Shirpil. The reason is because on this actually added previously, and I think this is actually very correct, because bombardment at Shirpil seems to be rather common, like it's almost like a daily thing. The Ukraine Defense Ministry consistently report that Shirpil is bombarded by the Russian forces. So not sure what's up with this location, why there is so much shelling and or fortifications at that location. So not sure what's happening here. So nothing at Balaklia area here. Then we are now at the Kharkiv Front. At the Kharkiv Front, so you can see I have indicated all the shelling locations. So this is a bit more random, but we can still see some kind of where the front line might be. So the important thing is actually this part. Previously, Ryba, the pro-Russian sources, reported that the Ukrainian forces have retreated from Slobozhanske and Boshchova to Risky Tishki, and then I left this blank because I'm not sure if the Russians actually took over, because they just say the Ukrainians actually withdrew. So however, given this shelling information by the Ukraine Defense Ministry that only Cherkashi Tishki and Risky Tishki has been bombarded, and there is no more news about Boshchova, I believe this location has been indeed captured by the Russian forces, which is why I've indicated the red flag for the Russians and to clean up this front line around this area. Bombardment reported pretty randomly at the Hachi, Cherkashka Dolozova, and then nearer to the front line at Slatine, Prudianka, and interestingly Dementivka, which then put into the dispute. There is reported fighting at Dementivka. They said that the reconnaissance group of the Ukraine Territorial Defense Brigade actually got eliminated. They actually 5 out of the 15, 5 got killed, 10 was captured at the Dementivka area. So not sure exactly where, but let's say if Dementivka is actually under Ukrainian control, then this fighting is probably further north. So so this is the situation here at Dementivka. Fighting also reported at Veliki Prokhody. However, this is reported by pro-Russian source, Voenko Kotenok. They say fighting is at Veliki Prokhody. So I put it in blue because this is actually under Russian control. So so not sure what is that supposed to mean in terms of the fighting is at that location. Further up north, we also have this conflict because shelling is reported at Sosnivka. So not sure if Sosnivka is actually under Russian control or Ukrainian control. So it's a grey area. However, pro-Russian sources reported fighting at Vyslizhny, which is actually Vyslizhny here. So, and there's also fighting continuing at Uda or Udi. So so a lot of action on the northern side of the Kharkiv city. Over at the eastern side of Kharkiv city, fighting is only reported at Verkhny Saltiv. Otherwise, other situation here is all pretty much unknown. Not sure what's exactly happening around here. So I believe, and also, so before I end everything, there is a quadrilateral, or in DPA talk we call it for bilateral talk on agricultural export from Black Sea ports. So Black Sea ports is not just from Ukraine. So very vague naming. And this is according to the Ministry of Defense of Russia. They said that, so they reported that the Defense Ministry of Russia will send representative, or already sent representative, to Istanbul to take part in the bilateral talks, or the quadrilateral talks, with colleagues from Turkey, UN, and a delegation from the Ukraine, on the issue of organizing export of agricultural products from the Black Sea ports. So they also mentioned that the Russian delegation prepared and presented a package of recommendations for a rapid and practical solution to this issue. And this actually comes in contradiction to this information, because ships are already arriving at the Danube area of Ukraine to export grain. So let's see what comes out of this. I personally don't think very much will come out of it, but let's see. Who knows? Who knows? So anyway, this is the summary for the day of 139 and 140 for the 12th and 13th of July. So I repeat again, for the 12th and 13th of July, it's not for the 14th, not for today, or if you're watching this later, not for yesterday. So it's 12th and 13th. The 14th of July one, I will actually report it later, maybe in 12 hours time, depending on my schedule, because I'm very freaking busy. So I do my best, and hopefully I can report daily. If I can't, I just have to, you know, make do with 2 days once. I don't really want to do 3 days once, like the previous summary. Because there's too much information sometimes to go through, and I get confused, you know, if I do miss a day or two. So let's not get confused. So anyway, this is the summary, and please remember, press the like button, and also want to remind you guys, you go to the description below. There's a lot of different things that you can join to be part of the DPA community, from Telegram channel to Discord to Twitter and to Facebook. I highly recommend not Twitter, because you will see the ugly side of me, and the preferable one is actually Discord. And Telegram channel, there's a chat group for the channel, and it's pretty much the Wild West. There is no I don't really do any moderation there, so you will probably vomit blood there. So yeah, Discord is actually a good place. So anyway, I just want to give you a heads up. There will be multiple new channels from the DPA being launched probably over the next weeks or days, or no, maybe month. There will be a few channels. See whether I can actually show you. No, I'm not going to show you. I was just going to tell you. So one is actually on, it's called Defense Politics Asia Analytics. So CSI will be actually reported there, and there will also be new content for that. So those are all analytics and analysis, very scientific or technical. And then there will be also a Defense Politics Asia IRL. It's a more casual one, and I decide I will be doing, you know, my own opinion videos over there. So you can, so instead of, because all this, the main channel here that you are here on is a news channel. So I don't really like to add too much of my opinion here, but I will actually add it on the IRL side, and I'll probably do some podcasts as well as putting the open mic, the DPA open mic there, where the DPA army officers, basically the patrons of the DPA Patreon, will be able to, you know, participate in exclusive open mic sessions. They will be actually casted there, or actually done and then actually recorded and then published there. So, and there's also Defense Politics Asia Gaming. So I think if you go to search, I think you can only find the gaming one, because the other ones are still, you know, not searchable from as far as I understand. And also there will be one more called Defense Politics Asia Conversations, and that will be a high level talk show kind of thing where I actually do interviews. That will be the last one I will do, because that requires a lot more work. So I require you guys to support me, continue to support me here at the main channel, so that I can have enough revenues to actually do more for you guys. And there will be more coverage of other war zones, coming soon. Still now in the preparation stage. I will be working with a viewer and a member of the DPA community. He also have his own YouTube channel, so I will be collaborating with him as well to report on other war zones. So a lot of things happening, and I'm really busy like hell. And so hopefully I can actually survive and actually, you know, do these things for you guys. So anyway, this has been a really long video. I'm really tired, but you know, I think you guys need to be informed. And so please stop telling me that I'm pro-Russia. I don't really care. I just like to diss people who are hypocrites. So anyway, I'll see you in the next update.